Yo, what's up, USA, International, Canada, Long Island, aka Strong Island, plus the five spots of Brooklyn, Bronx, Manhattan, Staten Island, Queens. This is your man and homie, G Money Stacks, aka The Gregonator, YouTuber, creator, host with the most misunderstood lonely nomad, unstoppable independent podcaster, Queens, New York native who is also a New York Mets fan from the neck of the woods of Laurelton, Queens, New York. And yes, you are now rocking, tuning in, listening, streaming, and watching the 133rd episode of the Entertainment Review Show, Meticulous Juice Podcast, live and direct from StreamYard and YouTube. Be sure to hit that subscribe button, and alongside with leaving a like and a comment along with the episodes and the topics of reviews that we're going to be getting into. Be sure to tell a friend to another friend. Be sure to also share the videos. Very important. And if you like, you can download the episodes as well. You can do that. And yeah. How is everyone doing, man? Did y'all enjoy your Christmas? I know y'all ready for 2025 to be here and stuff. That's the reason why I am recording not only this episode, but the other two episodes today, so I could drop them off tomorrow. So that way I'll have a few days to actually, rest so I can actually, be prepared for 2025 and yeah, and my 40th. So, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, without further ado, let's see. All right, let's go and see if we can go to the music Kool-Aid here. All right, music Kool-Aid. Yeah, let's do this. Hold on one second. I know I have a little something something. No, hold on a second. All right. Not on mute. Okay, so here we go. We are we're gonna talk about we're gonna talk about the hip hop projects of 2024. All right. Um all right, so we're gonna get into here. Yeah, let's talk about it. All right, so and this is according to the folks from Hip Hop Wired. All right. Um okay. So here's what's happening. Year-end album lists are a gift and a curse for a hip hop and music journalist because we're never going to hear all of the hundreds of projects that dropped over the past 365 days. However, Hip Hop Wired is attempting the impossible to deliver our favorite hip hop projects of 2024. Breaking the wall here, I want it known that I might be a man of a certain age, but I never turned my back on the music and culture that, quite frankly, has given me so much as a writer and participant. Just like some people grew out of loving hip hop, that has never happened with me. Each year, I'm discovering more and more acts that release music that speaks to me, and I enjoy the hunt of digging in the crates, even if it's digitally. For this list, I only listed albums or mixtapes that have 10 songs or more. That this means that a lot of the 9 song releases that are listed as albums on DSPs are not mentioned here, but that doesn't mean they weren't dope. I just believe wholeheartedly that there should be at least 10 songs on a project before we call it a full length release. Further, if I added EPs to the list, it'd be even longer than it already is. As I've done with past lists, the hip hop albums and mixtapes listed below are in alphabetical order by artist name, not rank or preference. I don't believe in segregating the music because it doesn't fit some mysterious aesthetic. What I listed below are albums I routinely played, reviewed, and believe stood out among all I've heard. If I miss something, don't flame me. You mean don't blame you. You mean don't blame you. I kind of get what this person is saying. You will see a lot of West Coast artists on this list, along with acts from the South, East Coast, and all points in between. All right, so top hip hop LPs and mixtapes of 2024. Okay, we'll start off with Absol Soul Burger. Yes, Soul Burger by Absol. Although not immediately introspective as his previous album, Herbert, Absol shows and hold on one second. Give me one second, folks. Yeah, sorry about that. I had to take care of a little something of another antivirus that I tried to download. But anyway, yeah, so although not immediately introspective as his previous album, Herbert Absol shows and proves his formidable ability as a lyricist while paying homage to his dear brother Doe Burger. Oh shit. Hang on one second. Johann Sebastian Lava the Doctor by Action Bronson. Action Bronson is at his best when he's delivering one of his usual take verses that take the shape of whenever he's feeling in the moment. Another reliable drop from Queen's native. And Pride Man by Ankle John. Washington, D.C. native Ankle John raps in earnest but extremely precise bursts, sometimes forcing himself as the central point at all times. His latest album, Pride of a Man, is a solid step forward in Ankle John's artistry. This is Not That by Apollo Brown and Crime Apple. Oh, wow. Crime Apple, a rapper out of New Jersey by the way of Columbia, raps with bone chilling precision and conviction. This pairing with Apollo Brown is a standout among his other releases this year. Benny, everybody can't go by Benny the Butcher. Benny the Butcher's debut album with Def Jam Records doesn't mute or clean up the grit and grime he's known to deliver. The Black Soprano boss gets production from Hit Boy and The Alchemist while running the operation expertly. Um, Big X the Plug. Take care. Dallas rapper Big X the Plug had a busy 2024, but the cherry on top was his second studio album, Take Care. Yes, the album dives into Big X's time in the street, but also the incompetence of, excuse me, the incompetence of lovering up. Um, Across the Tracks by Boldy James, Boldy James and Conductor Williams. Baldy James dropped four albums this year, and we could have gone with any of them. We decided on his collaboration with Conductor Williams and their potent across the tracks drop. Blue and Exile, Love the Ominous World. Among the four studio albums Blue dropped this year, his project with Exile, Love the Ominous World, is the one we couldn't stop rocking. Different type, different type time by Cavavilla. Cavavilla released what we think is a modern day classic in private stock, naming it one of the finest albums of 2018. Cav's pen and perspective are organic, soulful, and drenched in esoteric urban cool. He is one of the most important rappers working today. The Auditorium, Volume 1 by Common and Pete Rock. Age ain't nothing but a number, and the pairing of Common and Pete Rock proved that concept all across their enjoyable album, The Auditorium Volume 1. Slant Face Killer by Conway the Machine. Conway the Machine doesn't get the recognition he deserves as a rapper, and his versatility is unmatched. Slant Face Killer is a proper showcase for the drum work music group Honcho. Um, yeah, The Crossroads by Corday came into the game with plenty of promise, and his latest studio album takes all of his strongest points while adding that major label sheen. The Forsaken Lover's Plea by Chuck Strangers. um, Chuck Strangers got his first look as a producer as part of the sprawling Pro Era collective, but has since emerged as his own man. His second studio album, A Forsaken Lover's Plea, stamps Chuck Strangers as a standout voice among the producer rapper list. Excuse me, um, the producer rapper set. The Tonight Show, the sequel by Currency and DJ Fresh. Currency dropped so much consistent heat that we had a hard time picking an album, but his past work with DJ Fresh drew us to The Tonight Show, the sequel, and we're better for it. Denzel Curry, uh, King of the Mischievous South, Volume 2. Of course, Denzel Curry is an enigma of an artist who is capable of dropping brilliant bars, but also can turn up. King of the Mischievous South Volume 2, billed as a mixtape, feels just like that, but in the best ways. The best of ways, excuse me. All right. Let's see. Dizzy Wright was active in 2024 along with maintaining his various business interests, reconnecting with Demrick, also an entrepreneur. The pairs Blaze with Us Three boosts fantastic production from Mike and Keys, and yes, it's perfect to pair with your favorite strains. Also, Demrick's Watch This is still dope. um Dolce's breakout year was capped by the soulful Tiny Desk concert that recently dropped. Much of that performance features songs from her latest mixtape, Alligator Bites Never Heal, which makes us wonder, yeah, which makes us wonder what the album will sound like. All right, so Perfect Fantasy by Earth Gang um keeps our attention every time they drop new music, and the duel of Olu and Wow GR8 are still adept at finding new flows, sounds, and themes. There is a tendency to compare them to another duo out of Georgia, but they own their unique sound solely. Mercy Nah Mercy by El Castu, Castello. El Castello first appeared on our radar by way of Mike's excellent Burning Desire album. The Washington, D.C. rappers Heady versus showcase the varying creativity and interests of the Northeast native. Eric the Architect, um, as a member of the Flatbush Zombies, Eric the Architect proved he is a rapper worth noting. With his solo album, I've Never Been Here Before, Art delivers a varied and personal project that rewards the listener several times over. um, yeah. Fine Hole Stay, Flo Millie's second studio project continues the whole theme from her previous drops and is the strongest of the three. The 24-year-old starlet and expecting mom is no slouch, and we're ready to hear what's next. Freddie Gibbs is growing up, or at least that's the message we're getting from You Only Die um, Once. The Gary, Indiana rapper sounds remarkable on an album that fans didn't see coming. Um, Philadelphia rapper Freeway and Seattle producer Jake One made magic in 2010 with the Stimulus Package. 14 years later, the Stimulus Package 2 is just as strong as its predecessor and maybe better in some aspects. Um, Yeah. Yes, we know that like that is the highlight for any, but Future and Metro Boomin showed their chemistry all across We Don't Trust You. Um so Gangrene, the duo of Oh No and the Alchemist may very well be the best producers on the mic. Heads I win, tails you lose is the duo's beats and boost just as it should be. Memphis rapper Glorilla came into the game with plenty of motion. Studio album Glorious. Big Glow covers all the bases on the release, and we know it's only up from here. Gunna kept his head down and continued to work despite all the smut people attempted to throw on his name and delivered a stellar album in one of one. WUN. Heems, um, who some might remember from Das Racist, dropped two albums this year, the first of which, um, La Fendar, was done with Lapgam, a fellow Indian American. J. Cole got a lot of heat for deleting his Kendrick Lamar diss, 7 Minute Drill, from his fourth mixtape. Might delete later, but it's a touch unfair. The rest of the projects is one of the strongest sets of bars we've heard from the North Carolina MC and producer. Jason Martin, formerly known as Problem, connected with the legendary DJ Quick for the funky sun soaked Chupacabra. Yo, hell shit. Chupacabra. Oh wow. Oh, even if you are not from the West Coast, it still goes. Jay Worthy is always dropping new music, and this year was no different. Nailing down our favorite record was difficult. However, Magic Hour, made alongside Damn Funk, was the one that kept cropping. Um, okay, let's see. I Laid Down My Life for You by J Peck Mafia is a difficult artist to explain to the unfamiliar, but what we can say is that if you are able to capture anything about Peggy, is that he's all over the map, and that's fine with us. And Ka unfortunately passed away this year, and his loss is still sending waves of shock among his devoted fans. Music lives on, and the Brownsville lyricist album, The Thief Next to Jesus, is another in a long list of projects that should be studied in colleges. And yeah, um, let's see. Let the Dirt Say Amen. A rapper and producer out of Washington, D.C., dropped one of our favorite albums in 2021, God Hates Gucci. I Love You. I'm I'm Not Sorry. Is more of Dirt's strong production, relentless verses, and some of the best shit talking we've heard all year. LL Cool J shocked a lot of fans with The Force, a departure in sound for the Queen's veteran. Produced by Q-Tip of A Tribe Called Quest fame, there are some interesting curveballs within the project, but that's why we enjoyed it so much. Logic is polarizing among hip hop fans for reasons beyond the music, which has generally been good to great. Ultra 85 absolutely leans to the great side of the Maryland rapper's discography, and despite its length, Bobby Tarantino is the reason to tune in. Um, Matt Match Homie doesn't reveal much about himself, despite several dozen releases acclaimed by critics and listeners alike. The Haitian American New Jersey native shakes up things on hashtag Rich Acts Haitian with interesting features, but the main character is Match Homie. um, Marv One is one of the most gifted rappers out of Detroit, a city that seems to produce rappers who can flow over anything. I'm fine. Thanks for asking into Marv One's thoughts in a way that almost feels intrusive, but we appreciate him for letting us in. Um, Marvy burst onto the scene with his debut album, Let the Sun Talk, in 2019. The Charlotte, North Carolina rapper's third album, Shadowbox, is an emotional, soul stirring collection of thoughts that finds the 25-year-old rapper wrestling with the weight of the world. Let's see. Despite his mature sound and thematic aims, Mike is still very much a young man in his 20s. Instead of taking over the beats, Big Mike connects with producer Tony Seltzer for the youthful and frenetic pinball. Don't get it twisted. Mike is still going in, but it's a lot lighter than his usual fare. Nappy Nina's 2023 album Morning Dew was one of our favorites. And instead of coasting on that excellent body of work, the Oakland rappers, um, yeah, the body of work, the Oakland rappers, Nothing Is My Favorite Thing with producer Suave took us on a marvelous audio journey. Um, let's see. Navy Blues 2023 Def Jam Records debuts Ways of Knowing gripe us by the ears from the first second. Now fully independent once more, Memoirs in Armor finds navy blue once more, centering spirituality and his connection to his family, all of which is delivered in an almost um, melancholic but reflective tone. Nicholas F. Is another example of an artist with immense ability who seems content, content with rapping for those who get it and unbothered with chasing fame. The Richmond, Virginia MC and produces um, Double MCHT is one of his most personal releases and one where he doesn't rap in character. NX Worries, the duo of singer, rapper, and drummer Anderson Paak and producer Knowledge, returned with their second full length, Why Lord. With his sing rap style, Pac is in top form, and Knowledge has been a beast on the boards for years. Planet Asia will always have a fresh platter of heat for his legion of fans, and among the drops from this year, No Retirement, um, with production team Local Astronauts was our top choice. Previous industries finds Open Mike Eagles, Still Riff, and Video Dave collectively working out the realities of aging, along with still having a lot more to say. The longtime Chicago Associates Fantastic Service merchandise album is full of moments of clarity, along with comical revelations. It's sharp work. All right, Rhapsody should be mentioned among the greats, and it is no fault of her own that she is often misunderstood. On Please Don't Cry, rap is more plain spoken than ever, and there isn't a wasted bar on the project. Raz, Fre- Raz Fresco, an incredibly prolific Canadian producer and MC, dropped joints this year that could be in place of our pick, The Eternal Now. That said, Raz and his marvelous right wrist style and 5% Nation teachings work in Muggs production. It could be argued whether or not Marciology is the best album in Rock Marciano's catalog, but instead of needlessly pitting the Long Island rapper producers' music against each other, we rather state the fact that Rock Marcy's vision was fully realized on this release. Yes, we know Rock Marcy is on the list twice, and this Alchemist shows and proves the pair know how to bring the best qualities out of each other. This is definitely an album for the winter grind. Yes. And the skeleton key. The skeleton key. That's off of Rock Mars project. Um Brooklyn born and bred native Salamara injects the entire creative spirit of her borough in second full length project Wooden Floors. Trust us when we say that this is especially for those who love women rappers who are assertive. And Schoolboy Q Blue Lips, I actually talked about it in a previous episode. Sideshow, a Washington, D.C. rapper who now resides in Los Angeles, doesn't grant interviews so much of what we know about him is in his music. And this is off of his project, Fun Toy. The Ethiopian American rappers' music is replete with street tales and hazy production, best suited for a smoke session or running a mission. Sky Zoo is one of those rare rappers that might not have a bad album in their catalog. Keep Me Company is more of the Brooklyn scribe's observations of life, the grind, and the artist's path. And Slum Village, now a duo with original member T3 and producer rapper Young RJ, has kept the SV flag flying over the years. Fun continues the tradition and finds them both having a lot of fun on the microphone per the album's title. Smoke Dizza is severely underrated, and it's kind of frustrating for us who are fans of the Kush God. On THC3, Kush God, bitch. Oh shit. Oh shit. George Kush, aka Smoke Dizza, shows off his effortless cool once again. All righty. With the West Coast sound fully rocking the radio nationwide, it was a perfect time for the Dog Pound to reintroduce themselves with WOG, aka We All We Got, which features stellar production from Mike and Keys. Um, Fans of the rap group UNI should be familiar with Thurs, formerly Thursday. His latest album, Yannick Coffee in Time, gets into the story of the Inglewood native as we've never heard before. It's hard to believe that Tierra Wax's Worldwide Whack is her debut studio album, but it does serve as a Philadelphia star. Tyler the Creator is now a legitimate superstar, and and the interest surrounding his latest album, Chromacopia, proves that of fame and the pressure that comes along with it. But there are also classic moments of T talking his talk. Vince Staples' sixth album, Dark Times, is his final on Def Jam Records, but as is his penchant, the Long Beach rapper doesn't dial it in. This is another excellent collection of Vince Staples' thoughts. West Side Gun is possibly hip hop's greatest self promoter, but thankfully he backs up his boost more times than not. Excuse me. Still Praying finds the Griselda mastermind rapping about a lifestyle few can afford and proving that the lane he occupies is firmly his own. And finally, finally, while we wait for the Long T's collaboration with Madlib, Droog, your old Droog's movie is more than a mere holdover. Droog's ear for beats and his humorous reflections keep the album a light but ruckus listen. Rockulous Rockulous listen. Rockulous. Okay. All right. All right. So all right, let's go to one second here. All right. All right, let's get into some movies, right? Let's get into some movies right here. Um and of course, um hold on a second. Let me set this up. So, we're gonna be going over this movie franchise. I'm pretty sure a lot of you may or may not be familiar with. It is the 007 movies. All right. And with we're gonna start with GoldenEye. All right. That's our chillax man cave popcorn lounge segment. All right, let's get it. Yes, GoldenEye is going to be the first film we're gonna go over right here. All right. All right. So GoldenEye is a 1995 spy film, the 17th in the James Bond series produced by Eon Productions, and the first to star Brosnan as the fictional MI6 agent James Bond. Directed by Martin Campbell, it was the series not to use any story element from the works of novelist Ian Fleming. GoldenEye was also the first James Bond film not produced by Albert R. Broccoli, following his stepping down from Eon Productions and replacement by his daughter Barbara Broccoli. Um, along with Michael G. Wilson, although Broccoli was still involved as a consultant producer. It was his final project before his death in 1996. Damn. The story was conceived and written by Michael France with later collaboration by other writers. In the film, Bond fights to prevent a rogue ex MI6 agent, played by Sean Bell, 006, from using a satellite weapon against London to cause a global financial meltdown. All right, so the budget for this film is $60 million. $60 million actually. Yeah, they're actually taking notes from the Sonic the Hedgehog franchise, I guess, or other movies franchise, if you will. Um, let's see. Um, all right. So GoldenEye was released after a 6-year hiatus in the series caused by legal disputes, during which Timothy Dalton's contract for the role of James Bond expired, and he decided to leave the role, being replaced by Brosnan, excuse me. M was also recast actress Judy Dench, becoming the first woman to portray the character, replacing Robert Brown. The role of Miss Moneypenny was also recast. Carolyn Bliss, being replaced by Samantha Bond. Desmond Desmond Lee Lee Wee Lin was the only actor to reprise his role as Q. It was the first Bond film made after the dissolution of the Soviet Union and the end of the Cold War, which provided a background for the plot. Principal photography for GoldenEye took place from January to June of 1995 in the UK, Russia, Monte Carlo, and Puerto Rico. It was the inaugural film production to be shot at Leaves Den Studios, the first Bond film to use computer generated imagery, which is CGI. GoldenEye was also the final film in the career of special effects supervisor Derek Meddings, and was dedicated to his memory. The film accumulated a worldwide gross of over $350 million US, considerably better than the entire 1980s Bond films without taking inflation into account. Um, it received positive reviews, with critics viewing Brosnan as a worthy successor to Sean Connery's portrayal as Bond. It also received award nominations for Best Special Visual Effects and Best Sound from the British Academy of Film and Television Arts. Let's see. Let's see. So the critical reception of the film was mostly positive. Film review aggregator website Rotten Tomatoes holds it at an 80% approval rating, with an approval rating of 7.1 out of 10 based on 85 reviews. The website's critics consensus states, in quote, the first and best Pierce Brosnan Bond film. GoldenEye brings the series into a more modern context, and the result is a 007 entry that's high tech, action packed, and urbane. On Metacritic, the film has a weighted average score of 65 out of 100 based on 19 critics, indicating generally favorable reviews. Audiences polled by CinemaScore gave the film an average grade of A minus on an A plus to F scale. In the Chicago Sun-Times, Roger Ebert gave the film 3 stars out of 4 and said Brosnan's Bond was somehow more sensitive, more vulnerable, more psychologically complete than the previous ones, also commenting on Bond's loss of innocence since previous films. James Baradinelli, oh gosh, Baradinelli described Brosnan as a decided improvement over his immediate predecessor, with a flair for wit to go along with his natural charm, but added that fully one quarter of GoldenEye is momentum killing padding. Several reviewers his appraisal of Bond as a sexist, misogynist dinosaur, with Todd McCarthy in Variety saying the film breathes fresh creative and commercial life into the series. Um, John Puxio of DVD Town said that it was an eye and ear pleasing, action packed entry in the Bond series, and that the film gave Bond a bit of humanity too. Ian Nathan of Empire said that it revamps the indomitable British spirit, and that the Die Hard movies don't even come close to 007. Tom Sonne, or Tom Son, Sunday Times considered it the best Bond film since The Spy Who Loved Me. Jose Arroyo of Sight and Sound considered the greatest success of it was in modernizing the series. However, the film received several negative reviews. Richard Schnickel of Time wrote that after a third of a century's hard use, Bond's conventions survived on wobbly knees. While in Entertainment Weekly, Owen Gleiberman thought the series had entered a near terminal state of exhaustion. Kenneth Turan of the Los Angeles Times said that it was a middle aged entity anxious to appear trendy at all costs. David Eimer of Premiere wrote that the trademark humor is in short supply, and that GoldenEye isn't classic Bond by any stretch of imagination. Retrospective. Um, Retrospective reviews. Often ranked as Brosnan's best Bond film, GoldenEye's reputation has only improved since its release. It is ranked high in Bond-related lists, as IGN chose it as the fifth best movie, while Entertainment Weekly ranked it eighth, and Norman Wilner of MSN as ninth. EW also voted Xenia on the top as the sixth most memorable Bond girl, while IGN ranked Natalia as seventh in a similar list. The film enjoys a large and enthusiastic following among Bond fans, especially those who grew up with the GoldenEye 007 video game. And in 2021, in a 2021 Yahoo survey consisting of 2,200 scholars and Bond superfans, GoldenEye was voted as the best Bond film, followed by Daniel Craig's Casino Royale and George Lazenby's on Her Majesty's Secret Service. The film was nominated for two BAFTAs, Best Sound and Special Visual Effects in 1996, but lost to Braveheart by Mel Gibson and Apollo 13, respectively by Tom Hanks, I believe. Yeah. Eric Serra won a BMI Film Award for the soundtrack, and it also earned nominations for Best Action, Adventure, or Thriller Film and Actor at the 22nd Saturn Awards, and Best Fight and Best Sandwich in a Movie at the 1996 MTV Movie Awards. Okay. Um, let's see. Let me see. Is there anything else? Oh, I want to actually okay. There is okay. Hmm. So all right, we're gonna go to another 007 movie. Okay, so all right, 007 007 movie franchise. Okay. Um okay. All right, let me see. So um wait a minute here. Where is wait a minute here. Wait a minute here. Um hmm. Wait a minute here. Minute here. Just a sec. Let's see. Yes, here we go. Next 007 movie is Tomorrow Never Dies. It is a 1997 spy film, the 18th in the James Bond series produced by Eon Productions, and the second to star Pierce Brosnan as fictional MI6 agent James Bond. Directed by Roger Spottiswoode from a screenplay by Bruce Fairstein. It follows Bond as he attempts to Price, a power mad media mogul, from engineering world events to initiate World War II. And yes, not only Pierce Brosnan, but also it involves Jonathan Price, Michelle Yeoh, Terry Hatcher, Joe Don Baker, and Judy Dent. The budget for this film is $110 million. $110 million. The film was produced by Michael G. Wilson and Barbara Broccoli. It was the first Bond film made after the death of producer Albert R. Broccoli, and the last released under the United Artists label. Filming locations included France, Thailand, Germany, Mexico, and the United Kingdom. Tomorrow Never Dies performed well at the box office, grossing $333 million worldwide, becoming the fourth highest grossing film of 1997 and earning a Golden Globe nomination despite mixed reviews, while its performance at the US box office surpassed that of its predecessor, Goldeneye. It was the only one of Brosnan's Bond films not to open at number one at the box office, as it opened the same day as Titanic and it finished at number two that week. Ooh. All right. All right, let's go to the reception. All right, so Rotten Tomatoes gave the film a 57% rating based on 93 reviews with an average rating of 6.1 out of 10. The website's consensus states a competent, if sometimes by the numbers, entry to the 007 franchise. Tomorrow Never Dies may not boost the most original plot, but its action sequences are genuinely thrilling. On Metacritic, the film has a score of 52 based on 38 reviews, indicating mixed or average reviews. Audiences polled by CinemaScore gave the film an average grade of A minus on an A plus to F scale. Um, In the Chicago Sun-Times, Roger Ebert gave the film 3 out of 4 stars, writing, "Tomorrow Never Dies gets the job done. Sometimes excitingly, often with style, with the villain slightly more contemporary and plausible than usual, bringing some subtler um, than usual satire into the film." Gene Sisco of the Chicago Tribune wrote, "It was the first James Bond film I've liked in many a year, most notably favoring the character Elliot Carver, which he added contemporary writing to the Bond series, and that is most welcome." On his website, Real Views, James Baradinelli described it as the best Bond film in many years and said Brosnan inhabits his character with a suave confidence that is very like Connery's. Kenneth Turan, writing for the Los Angeles Times, thought that a lot of Tomorrow Never Dies had a stodgy, been there feeling with little change from previous films. Janet Maslin of the New York Times summarized the film as a generic action event that it could be any old summer blockbuster, except that its hero is chronically overdressed. Charles Taylor wrote for Salon that the film was a flat impersonal affair. So the title song sung by Sheryl Crow was nominated for a Golden Globe for Best Original Song and a Grammy Award for Best Song written specifically for the motion picture or for television. The film received 4 nominations for Saturn Awards, with Brosnan winning for Best Actor. It also won a MPSE Golden Reel Award for Best Sound Editing, Foreign Feature, and a BMI Film Music Award. The original UK release received various cuts and scenes of violence and martial arts weaponry to reduce the impact of sound effects and to receive a more box office friendly 12 certificate. Further cuts were made to the video DVD release to retain this rating. These edits were restored for the Ultimate Edition DVD release in the UK, which was which was consequently upgraded to a 15 certificate. However, upon the of the Blu-ray in 2012, it was rated back down to a 12 uncut. Retrospective reviews. In the wake of its original release, critics and audiences have praised Tomorrow Never Dies for its um, of its pre-science pre-science. The website Den of Deek on the film's um 20th anniversary observed of the film's plot. It's an improbable setup, which was likely intended as a satire of Murdoch's unaccountable media empire, but the risk of such technological manipulation have since proved to be frighteningly plausible. Dan of Deek also highlights that technology wasn't the only modern danger to be preempted by Tomorrow Never Dies. It also offers a revealing peek into the um, confused state of the British national psyche, which might help to explain the country's ongoing um, what is it, Brexit debates. Similarly, Head Stuff highlighted in its relevance in 2020, noting that some modern critics argue that Carver's emphasis on traditional journalism date the film, and that if the internet existed to such an extent as it does 20 years later, his plan would be instantly foiled. Um, Not really sure those people have been following current events over the past 2 years. The American Film Institute nominated the film in 2001 for AFI's 100 Years of Thrills, and David Arnold's score in 2005 for AFI's 100 Years of Film Scores. Andrew Heritage mentions Tomorrow Never Dies in his book Great Movies 100 Years in Cinema, alongside Goldfinger and From Russia with Love. Let's see. Um, Tomorrow Never Dies was the first of three Bond films to be adapted into books by then current Bond novelist Raymond Benson. Benson's version is expanded from the screenplay, including additional scenes with Hua Lin and other supporting characters not in the film. The novel traces Carver's background as the son of media mogul Lord Roverman, whom Carver blackmails into suicide, later taking over his business. The novel also attempts to merge Benson's series with the films, particularly by continuing a middle of the road approach to John Gardner's continuality, con- continuity, excuse me. Notably, it includes a reference to the film version of You Only Live Twice, where he states that Bond was lying to Miss Moneypenny when he said he had taken a course in Asian languages. Tomorrow Never Dies also mentions Felix Leiter, although it states that Leiter had worked for Pinkerton's detective agency, which is thus exclusive to the literary series. Subsequent Bond novels by Benson were affected by Tomorrow Never Dies, specifically Bond's weapon of choice being changed from the uh, Walther PPK to the Walther P99. Benson said in an interview that he felt Tomorrow Never Dies was the best of the three novelizations he wrote. The film was also adapted into a third-person shooter PlayStation game, just like the game GoldenEye from Nintendo 64 years ago. Um, Tomorrow Never Dies. Yes, the game was developed by Black Ops and published by Electronic Arts on November 16th, 1999. Game Revolution described it as really just an empty and shallow game, and IGN said it said it was mediocre. Not really, man. Listen, for those of you who want to be into movies and games and stuff, don't let the critics stop you from not watching them playing a video game, okay? I mean, there's some critics that's like there's so many film critics that are fucking negative Nancy's out there, man. So don't let that stop you from watching the movie compared to those who keep saying on YouTube that this movie or TV shows are considered woke. Like, shut up already, man. Shut the fuck up already, man. Like, you ruining everything for everybody, saying that everything is woke, man. And you don't even know where that shit came from. Like, cut it out already and let people enjoy what they want to watch. That's that. I had to say it, man. I had to say that shit though, man, because I even talked about it in my other podcast in regards to um I even talked about it in I even talked about it in my other podcast in regards to YouTubers who keep saying that everything is quote unquote woke. Like seriously, like that shit is starting to get very annoying. It's getting annoying, man, to the point that I just don't really believe everything that a YouTuber says because at the same time, it's like, listen, it's never going to be. You can't please everybody, man. You can't please everybody, man, especially for beginners who are filmmakers and stuff. You can't please everybody. The same way you can't please every fucking film critic or anybody else, man. The only person you gotta please is your fucking self. All right. A third 007 movie is The World Is Not Enough, which is a 1999 spy film, the 19th in the James Bond series, produced by Eon Productions, and the third to star Pierce Brosnan as the fictional MI6 agent James Bond. It was directed by Michael Apted from the original story and screenplay by Neil Purvis, Robert Wade, and Bruce Fierstein. It was produced by Michael G. Wilson and Barbara Broccoli. The title is the translation of the motto on the Bond family coat of arms, first seen on Her Majesty's Secret Service. Give me 1 second, folks. Okay. Um. All right. So not only Pierce Brosnan is in this movie, Sophie Marceau, Denise Richards, Robert Carlyle, Robbie Coltrane, Judy Dench, and Maria Grazia QC Nada. All right. The budget for this film is $135 million. Yes. Yes, the budget for this film is $135 million. The film's plots revolve around the murder of billionaire businessman Sir Robert King by the terrorist Renard. The Bond subsequently to protect King's daughter Electra, who basically held for ransom by Renard. During his assignment, Bond unravels a scheme to increase petroleum prices by triggering a nuclear meltdown in the waters of Istanbul. Oh wow, oh, man. Wait, who played Electra? Hold on a second. Who played Electra? Yes, Electra is played by Sophie Marcio. Okay, got it. Um, Filming locations included Spain, France, Azer, Azerbaijan, Azerbaijan, Turkey, and the UK, with interiors shot at Pinewood Studios. Despite receiving mixed reviews with the plot and Denise for criticism, The World Is Not Enough earned 300. I'm sorry about that, folks. I had to put it on mute for the loud cars. Anyway, anyway, yeah. So, despite receiving mixed reviews with the plot and Denise Richards' casting frequently targeted for criticism, The World Is Not Enough earned $361.8 million worldwide. It was also the first Eon produced Bond film officially released by Metro Goldwyn Mayer Pictures instead of MGM subsidiary United Artists, the franchise's original owner and distributor. Hmm. The World Is Not Enough premiered on November 19th, 1999 in the United States and on November 26th, 1999 in the United Kingdom. Its world premiere was November 8th, 1999 at the Fox Bruin Theater, Los Angeles, USA. At that time, MGN signed a marketing partnership with MTV primarily for American use, who were assumed to have considered Bond as an old fashioned Secret Service agent. As a result, MTV broadcast more than 100 hours of Bond related programs immediately after the film was released, most being presented by Denise Richards. All right, so the film opened at the top of the North American box office with $35.5 million earned during its opening weekend. It remained in that spot until it was handed to Toy Story 2 uh, during its second weekend. Its final worldwide gross was $361.8 million worldwide, with $126 million in the United States alone. It became the highest grossing James Bond film of all time until the release of Die Another Day. The film was also selected for the first round of nominations for the Academy Award for Best Visual Effects, and it was failing to get nominated. The film was nominated for a Best Action Adventure Thriller Film, Saturn Award. Pierce Brosnan, excuse me, won both the Empire Award and the Entertainment Award as Best Actor, and David Arnold won a BMI Film Music Award for his score. The film became the first in the Bond series to win a Golden Raspberry when Denise Richards was chosen as worst supporting actress. Oh, wow. Oh shit. Wow. Wow. Really? Really? That's crazy funny, man. Oh wow. Oh shit. The Razzie Awards. I wish that shit didn't exist. Anyway, Richards and Brosnan were also nominated for Worst Screen Couple. Damn. Oh shit. Oh man. Lost to Will Smith and Kevin Kline for Wild Wild West. Oh boy. The initial release of the DVD includes the featurette Secrets of 007, which cuts into making of material during the film, the documentary The Making of the World Is Not Enough, two commentary tracks, one by director Michael Apted and the other by production designer Peter Lamont, second unit director Vic Armstrong, and composer David Arnold, a trailer for the PlayStation video game, and the Garbage music video. um, the Ultimate Edition, released in 2006, had an additional extras, a 2000 documentary named Bond Cocktail. Um, a featurette on shooting the Q boat scenes, Pierce Brosnan in a press conference in Hong Kong deleted scenes, and a tribute to Desmond um Lee Wellen. Critical reception was mixed. On Rotten Tomatoes, the film received an approval rating of 51% based on 147, with an average rating of 5.6 out of 10. The lowest of the Brosnan Bond films. The site's critical consensus reads plagued by mediocre writing, uneven acting, and a fairly by the numbers plot. The World Is Not Enough is partially saved by some entertaining and truly Bond worthy action sequences. On Metacritic, the film has a weighted average score of 57 out of 100 based on 38 critics, indicating mixed and average reviews. Chicago Sun-Times critic Roger Ebert said the film was a splendid comic thriller, exciting and graceful, endlessly inventive, and gave it 3.5 stars out of 4. On the other hand, Eleanor Ringo um, Gillespie of the Atlanta Journal Constitution disliked the film, calling it dated and confused. Nathan Rabin from the AV Club opined that enough fun moments are scattered throughout to make it a decent Bond entry. But the series still needs a master shot of fresh ideas if it wishes to become anything more than a nostalgia fueled commercial sure thing. Antonia Quirk from The Independent said that the film is certainly less definitive, feeble than other recent Bond offerings, with an at two-dimensional female character in the bold and oval Marceau. Marcio. But my reaction is is much the same as to a new Rolling Stones albums, and don't worry about the car alarm. I'm just grateful that it's not embarrassing. Negative criticism was focused on the execution of the plot, and the action scenes were considered excessive. Richards was widely criticized for not being credible in the role of a nuclear scientist, with Variety calling her the least plausible physicist in the history of movies, who makes even the electrochemist Elizabeth Shue, played in 1997's The Saint, sound like a noble uh, Lorette. Damn. Nathan Raven panned her performance and called it so so laughably awful that the film comes to a dead stop whenever she's on screen. She was ranked at 2008. In contrast, Sophie Marceau was praised for her role as Electra, with most critics agreeing that she was a better girl than Denise Richards, Christmas Jones, and a better Bond villain than Robert Carlyle's Renard. Peter Bradshaw from The Guardian called her terrific, sexy, stylish, with a really beautiful face, entirely innocent of the cosmetic surgeon's art. Retrospective. Pete DeBruge of Variety wrote in 2012, between the corny antics of the Roger Moore era and the grim seriousness of where things would eventually go under Daniel Craig's tenure. It also contains a dose of Timothy Dalton-esque toughness, much of what made Brosnan such a great Bond is thrust into the backseat by lame jokes and a premature attempt to mix up the formula, concluding that it was nothing but a reversion to the franchise's most adolescent tendencies. Entertainment Weekly picked it as the worst Bond film of all time in 2006, saying it had a plot so convoluted, even Pierce Brosnan has admitted to being mystified. Norman Wilner of MSN chose it as the third worst film, above A View to a Kill and License to Kill, while IGN chose it as the fifth worst in both in 2007. Damn, really? Damn, that's crazy, man. That's crazy, man. Bond novelist Raymond Benson, yeah, his adaptation of The World Is Not Enough from the film screenplay. It was Benson's fourth Bond novel and followed the story closely, but with some details changed. For instance, Electra sings quietly before her death, and Bond still carries his Walther PPK instead of the newer P99. The novel also gave the cigar girl assassin the name um Julieta da Vinci, and retained a scene between her and Renard that was cut from the film. It was adapted by Electronic Arts to create two person shooters of the same name for the Nintendo 64 and PlayStation. The Nintendo 64 version was developed by Eurocom, and the PlayStation version was developed by Black Ops. Versions of The World Is Not Enough for the PC and the PlayStation 2 were planned for release in 2000, but both were canceled. These versions would have used the the ID Tech 3 game engine from Quake 3 Arena. Although this game marks Pierce Brosnan's fifth appearance in a Bond video game, the game includes only his likeness. The character is voiced by Adam Blackwood. Shit. Let's see. Let's see. Let me see. Wait, what is it? Hold on a second here. Let's see. Let me see. Let me see. Let me see. Okay. All right. Pierce Brosnan's last movie of the 007 franchise is Die Another Day. Die Another Day is a 2002 spy film and the 20th film in the James Bond series produced by Eon Productions. It was directed by Lee Tamahori, produced by Michael G. Wilson and Barbara Broccoli, and written by Neil Purvis and Robert Wade. The fourth and final film starring Pierce Brosnan as the fictional MI6 agent James Bond. It was also the only film to feature John Cleese as Q, and the last with Samantha Bond as Money, Money Miss Money Penny. Excuse me. Film since Live and Let Die, not to feature Desmond Llewellyn as Q, as he died 3 years ago. Halle Berry co-stars as Bond girl and NSA agent Jinx. Oh shit. Jinx. Oh wow. Wow, wow, wow. Oh shit. Oh man. I don't know, man. I would never name a child Jinx, man, because that sounds very worse than the word curse. Unlike Friday the 13th, of course. Oh man. Oh man. Yeah, yeah. Oh man. In the film, Bond attempts to locate a traitor in British intelligence who betrayed him, and a British billionaire who is later revealed to be connected to a North Korean operative who Bond seemingly killed. It is an original story, although it takes place and influenced from Bond creator Ian Fleming's novels Moonraker and the man with the golden gun, as well as Kingsley Amis's novel. Yeah, so yes. So yes, who's in the movie besides Pierce Brosnan is Halle Berry, Toby Stevens, um, Rosamund Pike, Rick Yoon, John Cleese, and Judy Dench. The budget for this film is around $140 million. Die Another Day, released on November 20th, 2002, internationally by 20th Century Fox, and November 22nd, 2002, in the United States by Metro Goldwyn Mayer. It marked the James Bond franchise's 40th anniversary. The film includes references to each of the preceding films. It received mixed reviews. Some critics praised Tamahori's direction, but others criticized the reliance on CGI, the CD, excuse me, the CGI, reliance on the CGI, product placement, the story, and the villain. Nevertheless, nevertheless, the film was a box office success, with it grossing $431.9 million worldwide, becoming the sixth highest grossing film of 2002. All right. All right. So, marketing. I didn't even, yeah, marketing. Reportedly, 20 companies paying $70 million had their products featured in the film, a record at a time, although USA Today reported that number to be as high as $100 million. Oh, man. Wow. Um, yes, the 11th generation Ford Thunderbird was featured in the film as Jinx's car with a coral color, paying homage to a paint option for the original model and matching her bikini. Ford produced a limited edition 007 branded 2003 Thunderbird as a tie in for the film, featuring a similar paint job. Rev Revlon produced 007 color collection makeup inspired by Jinx. Bond Barbie dolls inspired by the franchise were also produced, featuring a red shawl and an evening dress designed by Lindy Hemming and sold in a gift set with Ken posing as Bond in full designed by the Italian fashion house Brioni. All right, so on the first day of release, ticket sales reached 1.2 million euros at the box office. The Die Another Day grossed $47 million on its opening weekend in the US and Canada and was ranked number one at the box office. The film competed against Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets, the Santa Claus 2 during the Thanksgiving weekend. Moreover, all three films were able to defeat the underperforming animated film Treasure Planet. Later on, Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets and Die Another Day would simultaneously reclaim the number one spot at the box office. For 6 months, they were both the latest films to return to the top spot at the box office until Finding Nemo joined the group in June 2003. The film earned $160.9 million in the US and Canada and $431.9 million worldwide, becoming the sixth highest grossing film in 2002. Not adjusting for inflation, Die Another Day was the highest grossing James Bond film until the release of the next James Bond movie, Casino Royale, in 2006. These fucking loud ass cars, man. Critical response on Rotten Tomatoes. The film received an approval rating of 56% based on 220 reviews, with an average rating of 6.1 out of 10. The site's critical consensus reads its action may be a bit too over the top for some, but Die Another Day is lavishly crafted and succeeds in evoking classic Bond themes from the franchise's earlier installments. On Metacritic, the film has a weighted average score of 56 out of 100 based on 43 critics, indicating mixed and average reviews. Audiences surveyed by CinemaScore gave the film a grade A minus on 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 the scale of A to F. Michael DeQuina of Film Threat praised the film as the best of the series to star Pierce Brosnan and the most satisfying installment of the franchise in recent memory. Larry Carroll of CountingDown.com praised Lee Tamahori for having magnificently balanced the film so that it keeps true to the Bond legend. Make references to the classic films that preceded it, but also injects a new zest to it all. Entertainment Weekly magazine also gave a positive reaction, saying that Tamahori, excuse me, a true filmmaker, has reestablished the series' pop sensuality. A.O. Scott of the New York Times called the film the best of the James Bond series since The Spy Who Loved Me. Roger Ebert of the Chicago Sun-Times, who gave the film 3 stars out of 4, stated, in quote, "The movie un, has the usual impossible stunts, but it has just as many scenes that are lean and tough enough to fit in any modern action movie." Kyle Bell of Movie Freaks 365 stated in his review that the first half of Die Another Day is classic Bond, but that things start to go downhill when the Ice Palace gets introduced. Several reviewers felt the film relied too heavily on gadgets and special effects, with the plot being neglected. James Baradinelli of Real Views said, "This is a train wreck of an action film, stupefying attempt by the filmmakers to force feed James Bond into the mindless triple X mode and throw 40 years of cinematic history down the toilet in favor of bright flashes and loud bangs. Of the action sequences, he said, Die Another Day is an exercise in loud explosions and excruciatingly bad special effects. The CGI work in this movie is an order of magnitude worse than anything I've seen in a major motion picture. Coupled with lousy production designs, Die Another Day looks like it was done on the cheap. Gary Brown of the Houston Community Newspapers also described the weak point of the film as the seemingly nonstop action sequences and loud explosions that appear to take center stage while the Bond character is almost gated to second string. Roger Moore, who played Bond in earlier films, said, I thought went it just went too far. And that's for me. The first Bond in space, invisible cars, and CGI footage, please. The amount of product placement in Die Another Day had been a contemporaneous point of criticism, with the BBC, Time, and Reuters referring mockingly to the film using the title By Another Day. The producers subsequently chose to limit the number of companies involved in product placement to 8 for the next Bond film, Casino Royale, in 2006. Retrospective, despite favor from fans who prefer Bond's more camp films, a comment Pierce in 2020 stated that it is considered by many to be the worst entry in James Bond's canon and compares unfavorably to the Born Identity, um, released months earlier, which ushered in a new era of violent, gritty action espionage movies and gave rise to the excuse me, yeah, stripped down, no nonsense Bond of Daniel Craig. It often occupies a low rank on Bond related lists. In a 2021 survey consisting of 22,200 experts and super fans, Die Another Day was ranked as the third worst installment after Quantum of Solace and Spectre. Uh, Authors of the study did, however, specify that every Bond film is always someone's favorite. Excuse me. All right. Um. Jeez. Um. Yeah. You know what? Hold on. Let me just go to. Let's go to another. I'm gonna go to another one right here. We'll go to another one. Let's see. Let's see. Um. Okay. Casino Royale is a 2000 first in the Eon Productions James Bond series, and the third screen adaptation of Ian Fleming's 1953 novel of the same name. Directed by Martin Campbell from a screenplay by Neil Purvis, Robert Wade, and Paul Haggis. It stars Daniel Craig in his first appearance as Bond alongside Eva Green, Mad Mikkelsen, Judi Dench, and Jeffrey Wright. In the film, Bond is on a mission to bankrupt terrorism financier Lay Chiffre in a high stakes poker game at the Casino Royale in Montenegro. Montenegro, however you pronounce it. Yeah, and The budget for this film is between 102 and 150 million dollars. Following Die Another Day, Eon decided to reboot the franchise, attempting to provide a realistic exploration of a less experienced and more vulnerable Bond. Casting involved a widespread search for a new actor to succeed Pierce Brosnan as Bond. The choice of Craig, announced in October 2005, initially proved controversial. Principal photography took place in the Bahamas, Italy, the United Kingdom, and the Czech Republic, with interior sets built at Pinewood Studios and Bordeaux Studios. Casino Royale features primarily practical stunt work as opposed to the computer generated placements seen in other Bond films. Casino Royale premiered at the Odeon Leicester Square on November 14, 2006, and was theatrically released first in the United Kingdom on November 16th and in the United States a day later. The film received critical acclaim with praise for Craig's intervention of the character and the departure from the tropes of the previous Bond films. It grossed over $616 million worldwide, making the fourth highest grossing film of 2006 and the highest grossing James Bond film until the release of Skyfall, um, a sequel to A Quantum of Solace. Oh boy. Wow. All right. So let's go to the reception here. All right. So the box office, upon its release in the United Kingdom, Casino Royale broke series records. Of opening day, 1.7 million euros, and opening weekend, 13,370,000. 13,370,969 euros. At the end of its box office run, the film has grossed 55.4 million euros, making it the most successful film of the year in the UK. And as of 2011, the 10th highest grossing film of all time in the country. On its opening day, Casino Royale was on top with $14.7 million. Throughout the weekend, it grossed a total of $40, ranking narrowly second behind Happy Feet. However, Casino Royale was playing in 370 fewer cinemas and had average um 11,890 per $11,890 per cinema against $10,918 for Happy Feet. It earned $167.4 million by the end of its run in North America, becoming the highest grossing film of the series before being surpassed by Quantum of Solace, $168.4 million. On November 18th, 2006, Casino Royale opened at the first position in 27 countries with a weekend gross of $43.4 million in the non-UK, Irish, US, and Canada market box office for 4 weeks. The film earned $167.4 million in the United States and Canada and $426.8 million from international territories for a worldwide total of $594.2 million worldwide. It was the fourth highest grossing film of 2006. It was the highest grossing installment of the James Bond series until Skyfall surpassed it in November 2012. After subsequent re-releases, it has earned $616 million. Whew. All right. Website Rotten Tomatoes, the film received an approval of 94% based on 263 reviews with an average rating of 7.9 out of 10. The site's critical consensus reads Casino Royale disposes of the silliness and gadgetry that plagued recent James Bond outings, and Daniel Craig delivers what fans and critics have been waiting for: a caustic, haunted, and intense reinvention of 007. Hmm. On Metacritic, the film has a weighted average score of 80 out of 100 based on 46 critics, indicating generally favorable reviews. Audiences polled by CinemaScore gave the film an average grade of A minus on an A plus to F scale. Craig's performance and credibility were particularly praised. During production, Craig had been subject to debate by the media and the public, as he did not appear to fit Ian Fleming's original portrait of the character as tall, dark, and suave. The Daily Telegraph compared the quality of Craig's characterization of Bond to Sean Connery's and praised the script as smartly written, noting how the film departed from the series conventions. The Times compared Craig's portrayal of the character to that of Timothy Dalton and praised the edgy, with another reviewer citing in particular the action sequence involving the cranes in Madagascar. Critics Paul um, Paul Arendt of BBC Films, Kim Newman Newman oh shit. Oh man, that name brings Seinfeld memories, man. Oh man. Wow. Wow. Uh Kim Newman of Empire and Todd McCarthy of Variety all describe Craig as the first actor to truly embody Ian Fleming's James Bond from the original novel: ironic, brutal, and cold. Arendt commented, in quote, Craig is the first actor to really nail 007's defining characteristic. He is an absolute swine. Wow. The film was similarly well received in North America. MSNBC gave the movie a perfect 5-star rating. The film was described as taking James Bond back to his roots, similar to From Russia with Love, where the focus was on character and plot rather than the high-tech gadgets and visual effects that were strongly criticized in Die Another Day. Entertainment, Entertainment Weekly named the film as the fifth best of the series and chose Vesper Lynn as the fourth best Bond girl in the series. Some newspaper columnists and critics were impressed enough by Craig's performance to consider him a viable candidate for an Academy Award nomination. Roger Ebert gave the film a 4 out of 4-star rating and wrote that, in quote, Craig was a superb Bond who gives the sense of a hard man wounded by life and his job, who nevertheless cares about people and right and wrong, and that the film has the answers to all my complaints about the 45-year-old James Bond series, specifically why nobody in a Bond movie ever seems to have any real emotions. Time Out New York's Joshua Rothkopf called Craig the best Bond in the franchise's history, citing the actor's crisp, hateful, mammoth worthy snarl. This is a screwed up Bond, a rogue Bond, a bunder, a scrapper, and in the movies, astoundingly bleak coda, and an open hearted lover. Okay. Vicky Allen of the Sunday Herald noted Bond himself and not his love interest was sexually objectified in this film. A moment where he rises from the sea is reminiscent of Ursula address in Dr. No. He feels scared by Vesper Lynn's criticism of him. And though it would be almost unthinkable now have a female character in a mainstream film stripped naked and threatened with genital mutilation. That is exactly what happens to Bond in the film. So, although the film backed off from past criticism of Bond girls being sex objects, the once invincible James Bond becomes just another joint at the meat market. This sentiment is shared by the University of Leicester's James Chapman, author of License to Thrill, who also notes Craig's Bond is not yet the polished article he felt his incarnation of Bond is close to Fleming's because he is humorless, but is also different because Fleming's Bond did not enjoy killing. Craig's Bond seems almost to relish it. Andrew Saris of the New York Observer wrote that this particular Bond film is the very first that I would seriously consider placing on my own 10-year, no, yearly 10 best list. Furthermore, I consider Daniel Craig to be the most effective and repealing of the six actors who have played 007, and that includes even Sean Connery. Roger Moore wrote, Daniel Craig impressed me so greatly in his debut outing, Casino Royale, by introducing a more gritty, unrefined edge of I thought Sean Connery might just have to move over. Craig's interpretation was like nothing we've seen on screen before. Jimmy Bond was earning his stripes and making mistakes. It was intriguingly to see him being castigated by M, just like a naughty schoolboy would be by his headmaster. The script shows him as a vulnerable, troubled, and flawed character, quite the opposite to my Bond. Craig was and is very much the Bond Ian Fleming had described in the books, a ruthless killing machine. It was a Bond that the public wanted. Moore also quipped that his praise was not heaped lightly because he had to purchase the DVD himself. Raymond Benson, the author of 9 Bond novels, called Casino Royale a perfect Bond film. The film met with mixed reactions from other critics. Byfuss of the commercial appeal said, "Who wants to see Bond learn a lesson about ego?" As if he were Greg Brady in his Johnny Bravo phase. Oh shit. Anthony Lane of the New Yorker criticized the more imperfect and self-aware depiction of the character, saying even James Bond, in other words, wants to be 007. American radio personality Michael Medved gave the film 3 stars out of 4, describing it as intriguing, audacious, and very original, more believable and less cartoonish than previous 007 extravaganzas. He commented further that the sometimes sluggish pacing will frustrate some Bond fanatics. Critics such as Emmanuel Levy concurred, feeling the ending was too long and that the film's terrorist villains lacked depth. Although he praised Craig and gave the film a B plus overall. Other reviewers responded negatively, including Tim Adams of The Observer, who felt the film came off uncomfortably in an attempt to make the series grittier. In December 2006, Casino Royale was named the best film of the year by viewers of Film 2006. In 2009, UK ice cream company Del Monte Superfruit Smoothies launched an ice pop lolly molded to resemble the upper torso of Bond, a reference to the scene of him emerging from the sea. In 2008, Entertainment Weekly named Casino Royale the 19th best film of the past 25 years. Um, at the 2006 British Academy of Film and Television Arts Awards, Casino Royale won the Film Award for Best Sound and the Orange Rising Star Award, which was won by Eva Green. The film was nominated for 8 BAFTA awards, including the Alexander Corder Award for Best British Film of the Year, Best Screenplay, um, the Anthony A. Swift Award for Best Music, Best Cinematography, Best Editing, Best Production Design, Best Achievement in Special Visual Effects, and Best Actor Daniel Craig. This made Craig the first actor ever to receive a BAFTA nomination for a performance as James Bond. He also received the Evening Standard British Film Award for Best Actor. Casino Royale won the Excellence in Production Design Award from the Art Directors Guild, and singer Chris Cornell's "You Know My Name" won the International Press Academy Satellite Award for Best Original Song. The film was nominated for 5 Saturn Awards: Best Action Adventure Thriller Film, Best Actor Daniel Craig, Best Supporting Actress Eva Green, Best Writing Purvis Wade and Haggis, and Best Music David Arnold. The 2006 Golden Tomato Awards named Casino Royale the wide release film of the year. Casino Royale was also nominated for and has won many other international awards for its screenplay, film editing, visual effects, and production design. At the 2000 Saturn Awards, the film was declared to be the best um, adventure thriller film of 2006. Several members of the crew were also recipients of 2007 Taurus World Stunt Awards, including Gary Powell for Best Stunt Coordination and Ben Cook, Kai Martin, Marvin Stewart Campbell, and Adam Curley for Best High Work. All right. all right. All right, real quick. Um, all right, real quick. All right, so recipients of the American Cinema Editor Awards, Stuart Bird received a nomination for Best Edited Feature Film Dramatic. Peter Lamont won for Excellence in Production Design for Contemporary Film of the Art Directors Guild Awards. And of course, Daniel Craig, Neil Purvis, Robert Wade, and Paul Haggis, Phil Mayhew, Stuart Baird, David Arnold, Peter Lamont, Lee Sedalis, and Simon Wakefield all got a nomination for the British Academy Film Awards for Best Leading in a Leading Role, Best Adapted Screenplay, Best Cinematography, Best Editing, Best Original Music, Best Production Design, Best, and of course, Chris Munro, Eddie Joseph, Mike Presswood Smith, Martin Cantwell, and Mark Taylor won for Best Sound. Steve, let me see. Steve Begg, Chris Corbold, Dolcery, John Paul Dolcerti, excuse me, and Ditch Boy. No, Ditch Joy, excuse me, got a nomination for Best Special Visual Effects. Michael G. Wilson, Barbara Broccoli, Martin Campbell, Neil Purvis, Robert Wade, and Paul Haggis um, got a nomination for Outstanding British Film. And Lindy Hemming got a nomination for the Costume Designers Guild Award for Best for Excellence in Contemporary Film. You Know My Name, Chris Cornell, David Arnold won for Best Original Songs for the Satellite Awards, excuse me. Casino Royale won for Best Action or Adventure Film for the Saturn Awards. Daniel Craig, Eva Green, Neil Purvis, Robert Wade, and Paul Haggis Arnold um, got a nomination for Best Actor, Best Supporting Actress, Best Writing, and Best Music. And Chris Colbold, Peter Notley, Ian Lowe, and Roy Quinn won the Visual Effects Society Awards for Outstanding Special Effects in a Feature Motion Picture. Okay. Okay, hold on a sec. All right, so let's see what else. This is crazy, man. So we got four more. All right, we got four more. 22nd in the James Bond series, produced by Eon Productions. It's the sequel to Casino Royale. It is directed by Mark Forster and written by Neil Purvis, Robert Wade, and Paul Haggis. The film stars Daniel Craig as Bond alongside Olga um, Kurylenko, um, Mateo A. Malric, Giancarlo um, Giannini, Jeffrey Wright, and Judy Dench. In the film, Bond teams with Camille Montez to stop Dominic Green from monopolizing the Bolivian freshwater supply. Hmm. Um, the film budget is between 200 to 230 million dollars. And and A second Bond film starring Craig was planned before production began on Casino Royale in October 2005. In July 2006, Roger Mitchell was not announced to direct with a plan on May 2008, but left the project that October after delays with the screenplay. Purvis, Wade, and Haggis completed the screenplay by June 2007, after which Foster was announced as Mitchell's replacement. Craig and Foster also contributed uncredited, uncredited rewrites to the film's screenplay. Principal photography began in August 2007 and lasted until May 2008, with filming locations including Mexico, Panama, Chile, Italy, Austria, and Wales, while interior sets were built and filmed at Pinewood Studios. The film's title is borrowed from a 1959 short story by Ian Fleming. In contrast to his predecessor, Quantum of Solace is notable for citing inspiration from early Bond film sets designed by Ken Adam, while it features a departure from tropes associated with Bond villains. Quantum of Solace premiered at the Odeon Leicester Square on October 29th, 2008, and was theatrically released first in the United Kingdom. 2 days later, and in the United States on November 14th. The film received mixed reviews with praise for Craig's performance and the action sequences, but was deemed inferior to its successor. It grossed $589 million worldwide, becoming the seventh highest grossing film of 2008 and the fourth highest grossing James Bond film unadjusted for inflation. The next film series is Skyfall was released in 2012. Okay. All right. Yeah, this is crazy, man. All right. So, upon the box office, its opening in the UK, the film grossed 4.9 million euros, which is $8 million, breaking the record for the highest Friday opening, October 31st, 2008, in the UK. The film then broke the UK opening weekend record by taking 15.5 million euros, which is $25 million, in its first weekend, surpassing the previous record of 14.9 million euros held by Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire. It earned a further 14 million euros in France and Sweden, where it opened on the same day. The weekend gross of the equivalent of 10.6 million dollars in France was a record for the series, surpassing what Casino Royale made in 5 days by 16%. The $2.7 million gross in Sweden was the fourth highest grossing, no, excuse me, the fourth highest opening for a film there. The following week, the film was playing in 60 countries. It grossed the equivalent of 39.3 million in the UK, 16.5 million in France, $1 million in Germany on November 7th, 2008. The film broke records in Switzerland, Finland, United Arab Emirates, Nigeria, Romania, and Slovenia. Its Chinese and Indian openings were the second largest ever for foreign language films. The film grossed $27 million on its opening day in 3,451 cinemas in Canada and the United States, where it was the number one film for the weekend with $67.5 million and $19,568 average per cinema. It was the highest grossing opening weekend Bond film in the US and tied with those for the biggest November opening outside the Harry Potter series. From the British of October 31st through to weekend on November 14th, the film had grossed a total 319,128,882 dollars worldwide. The film grossed $168.4 million in Canada and the US and $421.2 million in other territories for a total of $589.6 million. Wow. Wow. Critical response on review aggregator Rotten Tomatoes. The film holds an approval rating of 64% on 302 reviews with an average rating of 6.1 out of 10. The site's critical consensus reads brutal and breathless. Quantum of Silence delivers tender emotions along with frenetic action, but coming on the heels of Casino Royale is still a bit of a disappointment. On Metacritic, the film has a weighted average score of 58 out of 100 based on 48 critics, indicating mixed or average reviews. Critics generally preferred Casino Royale, but continued to praise Craig's depiction of Bond and agreed that the film is still an enjoyable addition to the series. The action sequences and pacing were praised, But criticism grew over the realism and serious but gritty feeling that the film carried over. The film earned an average grade of B minus from Cinema Scores audience surveys on an A plus to F scale, the lowest of the Craig's era as Bond. Roger Moore, the third actor to play Bond in the film, said that Craig was a damn good Bond, but the film as a whole, there was a bit too much flashy cutting, and it was just like a commercial of the action. There didn't seem geography, and you were wondering what the hell was going on. Kim Newman of the Empire magazine gave it a 4 out of 5 rating, remarking it was not bigger and better than Casino Royale, which is perhaps a smart move in that there's still a sense of at the finish that has barely begun. However, he expressed nostalgia for the more humorous Bond films. The Sunday Times review noted that following Casino Royale was never going to be easy, but the director Mark Forster has brought the brand's successful relaunch crashing back to earth with a yawn. The screenplay is at times incomprehensible, and the casting is a mess. Give me 1 second. All right, sorry about that. I had to check on something. Um, where was it? Yes, the review concludes that Bond has been stripped of his iconic status. He no longer represents anything particularly British or even modern. In place of glamour, we get a spurious grit. Instead of style, we get product placement. In place of fantasy, we get a redundant and silly realism. The Guardian gave the film 3 stars and was particularly fond of Craig's performance, saying he made the part his own every inch in coolly ruthless agent killer nursing a broken heart and coldly suppressed rage, and calling the film a crash bang Bond. High on action, low on quips, long on location glamour, short on product placement, and concludes Quantum of Solace isn't as good as Casino Royale. The smart elegance of Daniel Craig's Bond debut has been toned down in favor of conventional action, but the man himself powers this movie. He carries the film. It's an indefinitely difficult task for an actor. Craig measures up. Screenplays says notices will focus right rightly on Craig's magnetism as the steely, sexy, murderous MI6 agent, but two other factors weigh in and freshen up proceedings. Foster's new technical team, led by Roberto Schaefer and production designer Dennis Gassner, um, and the ongoing shift of M, as played by Judy Dench, to front and center, the fade into insignificance as she becomes his moral counterpoint, and theirs is the only real relationship on screen. News Bond is, as has been previously noted, particularly the Martin Scorsese of the BAFTAs. 22 films later, with grosses probably close to the GDP of the one of the small nations it depicts. It's still waiting for the Alexander Corder Award. The best Casino Royale could achieve was a gong for sound. Will this year be the year that changes its fortunes? Roger Ebert of the Chicago Times, who praised the previous film, disliked Quantum Solace. He wrote that the plot was mediocre, characters weak, and that Bond lacked his usual personality, despite his praise for Craig's interpretation of the role. Throughout his review, he emphasized that James Bond is not an action hero. Kate Muir wrote wrote in the Times that the Bond franchise is 50 years old this year, and this scriptless mess of Quantum of Solace may be considered its midlife crisis before she went on to praise the film's successor Skyfall as a resurrection. Some writers criticized the choice of Quantum of Solace as a title. Yes, it's a bad title. Wrote Marnie Weiss, the editor of Famous, a Canadian film publication distributed in cinemas in that country, and an editorial entitled "At least it's not Octopussy." Oh man, not all reviews were as critical. Tim Roby of the Daily Telegraph, in a reflective review of the film in 2013, was positive. He praised the film's shorter runtime, claiming that many other Bond films run out of steam before the end, and included Casino Royale in this category, describing the film as a rock solid dramatic idea, and the intelligence to run with it. He gave the film 4 stars out of 5. Craig retrospectively stated that the 2007 to 2008 Writers Guild of America strike negatively impacted on the production and end result of Quantum of Solace. During the 2021 interview on the Empire Film podcast, Craig described the film as a shit show and referred to it as one of his least favorite performances as Bond. Yeah. All right. So the film was nominated for Best Original Score, Visual Effects, Film and Sound Editing at the 2008 Satellite Awards, winning Best Song. It was nominated for Best Action Movie at the 2009 Critics' Choice Awards and at the Empire Awards, which is voted by the public. It was shortlisted for Best Actor, Best Actress, Best Newcomer, Best Thriller, and Best Soundtrack. It was nominated for an award for Best Action Adventure Thriller Film, while Curry, Lenko, and Dench were both nominated for the Best Supporting Actress Award. It was nominated by the Visual Effects Society Awards for Outstanding Composing in a Feature Motion Picture. Movie critic Gilbert Cruz listed the film's pre-titles sequence as the 8th greatest car chase in film history. All right. All right, let's go to let's go to Skyfall. Skyfall is a 2012 spy film and the 23rd in the James Bond series produced by Eon Productions. The film is the third to star Daniel Craig as fictional MI6 agent James Bond and features Javier Bardem as Raul Silva, the villain, and Judi Dench returning as M. So Naomi Harris is in the movie. Ralph Fiennes, Bernice Marlowe, Albert Finney, and Judi Dench is in there. All right, so the film budget is between 150 to 200 million dollars. Wow. Wow. Hold on 1 second here. Um All right. So the film was directed by Sam Mendes and written by Neil Purvis, Robert Wade, and John Logan. In the film, Bond investigates a series of targeted data leaks and co- co- coordinated um, attacks on MI6 led by Silver. It sees the return of two recurring characters, Miss Money Penny, played by Naomi Harris, and Q, played by Ben Whishaw. Um, After an absence of two films, Ralph Fiennes, Bernice Marlowe, and Albert Finney among are among the supporting cast. Mendez was approached to direct after the release of Quantum of Solace in 2008. Development of the film was suspended throughout 2010 after Metro Goldwyn Mayer filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy, which caused screenwriter Peter Morgan to lead the project. Production resumed in 2010 after Purvis, Wade, and Logus were hired in a November 2012 release date was announced in January 2011. Principal photography began that November after the film's title was revealed and lasted until 2012 with filming locations including London, Shanghai, Istanbul, and Scotland. Skyfall premiered at the Royal Albert Hall on Royal Albert Hall on October 23rd, 2012, and was released theatrically on conventional and IMAX formats in the United Kingdom 3 days later and in the United States on November 9th. To coincide with the 50th anniversary of the first James Bond film, Dr. No, 1962. Skyfall received positive reviews with praise for Mendez's direction, cast performances, action sequences, cinematography, musical score. The film was nominated for five awards at the 85th Academy Awards, winning two and received numerous other accolades. Skyfall grossed $1 billion worldwide, the 14th film to do so, and became the then seventh highest grossing film of all time, the highest grossing James Bond film of all time, the second highest grossing film of 2012, and the then highest grossing film released by Sony and by MGM. Uh, the next film in the series was Spectre. Spectre was released in 2015. Okay, let's see. This is crazy, man. It's crazy how. So, all right, all right. So let's go to the box office. Skyfall earned 1.109 billion dollars worldwide, and at the time of its release was the highest grossing film worldwide for Sony Pictures and the second highest grossing film of 2012. On its opening weekend, it earned $80.6 million from 25 markets. In the UK, the film grossed to 20.1 million euros on its opening weekend, making it the second highest Friday to Sunday debut ever behind Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 2. It also achieved the second highest IMAX debut ever behind The Dark Knight Rises. The film set a record for the highest 7-day gross with 37.2 million euros, surpassing previous record holder Deathly Hallows Part 2, 35.7 million euros. By November 9th, 2012, the film had earned over 57 million euros to surpass The Dark Knight Rises as the highest grossing film of 2012 and the highest grossing James Bond film of all time in the UK. After 40 days of the release of the total UK gross stood at 94.48 million euros, making Skyfall the highest grossing film in the UK, surpassing the 94.03 million of Avatar. Um, by December 30th, 20 $1.6 million in the UK. That same day, the film also crossed the $1 billion milestone worldwide, making it only the 14th film and first Bond film to do so. It was also the seventh highest grossing film ever made at the time, pushing it past the inflation adjusted amount of $1.047 billion earned by Thunderball. Hmm. Skyfall set an opening record in Switzerland, $5.3 million, and recorded the second highest, largest opening weekend of the year for a Hollywood film in India after The Amazing Spider-Man, $5.1 million, as well as grossing $14.3 million on its opening weekend. In France, in Austria, it achieved the second highest opening weekend ever, $3.4 million, behind The Lord of the Rings: The Return of the King. While in Finland, it scored the largest opening weekend when excluding previews, $1.47 million. In North America, the film opened in 3,505 cinemas, the widest opening for a Bond film. The film earned $2.4 million from midnight showings on its opening day and a further $2.2 million from IMAX and large format cinemas. Skyfall went on to gross $30.8 million on its opening day in the US and Canada, and $88.4 million in its opening weekend, the biggest debut Bond film. By the end of its theatrical run, the film earned $304.4 million in the United States and Canada, making it the fourth highest grossing film of 2012 in these regions. All right, so yeah, so you can say, yeah, it's pretty cool, man. Yeah, so Skyfall received a nomination for the 85th Academy Awards for Best Cinematography, Original Score, and Best Sound Mixing, and won Best Original Song. And Best Sound Editing. The film's other nominations include 8 British Academy Film Awards, 7 Critics' Choice Movie Awards, and a Golden Globe Award, which it won. Okay, so yeah. Um, all right. I'm not gonna get to all this though, man. I'm trying to skim fast as possible. I'm trying to skim fast as possible because I'm trying to so that's why I'm skimming so fast actually. So all right, we go to Spectre. Um Spectre is a 2015 spy film and the 24th in the James Bond series, produced by Eon Productions, directed by Sam Mendes, and written by John Logan, Neil Purvis, Robert Wade, and Jez Butterworth, from a story conceived by Logan, Purvis, and Wade. It stars Daniel Craig as Bond alongside Christoph Waltz, Lee Sado, Ben Whishaw, Naomi Harris, Dave Bautista, Monica Bellucci, and Ralph Ralph Fiennes, or Fiennes, how you pronounce it. It was distributed by Sony Pictures Releasing, and the film in hold on a second. In the film, Bond battles Spectre, an international crime organization led by Franz Aberhauser. All right, so of course, Daniel Craig, Christoph Waltz, Leah Sado, Ben Whishaw, Naomi Harris, um, Dave Bautista, Monica Bellucci, and Ralph Fiennes. Production is between 245 and $300 million. Whew, wow. All right, all right. All right, so let's see. I'm gonna skip over the box office. I'm gonna skip over to the box office and stuff. All right, so Spectra grossed eight $80.7 million worldwide. $135.5 million of the takings were generated from the UK market, and $200.1 million from North America worldwide. Worldwide, this made it the second highest grossing James Bond film after Skyfall, and the sixth highest grossing film of 2015. Deadline Hollywood calculated net worth profit as $98.4 million. Accounting for production budgets, marketing, talent participations, and other costs, box office grosses and home media revenues placed it 16th on their list of 2015's most valuable blockbusters. Sony expected the net profit of the film to be around $38 million had it performed to the same the same had it performed to the same where were we had it performed to the same level of its predecessor, but it earned percent less than Skyfall. Sony paid 50% of the production cost for the film, which totaled some $250 million after accounting for government incentives, but received only 25% of certain profits once costs were recouped. The studio also spent tens of millions of dollars in marketing and had to give MGM some of the profit from the studio's non-Bond films, including 22 Jump Street. In the United Kingdom, the film grossed 4.1 million euros, which is $6.4 million from its Monday preview screenings. It grossed 6.3 million euros, which is $9.2 million on its opening day, and then 5.7 million, which is euros, which is $8.8 million on Wednesday, setting UK records for both days. In the film's first 7 days, it grossed 41.7 million euros, which is $63.8 million, breaking the UK record for the highest first week opening set by Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban's 23.9 million euros, which is $36.9 million in 2004. It's Friday. It's Friday and Saturday gross was 20.4 million euros, which is $31.2 million, compared to Skyfall's 20.1 million, which is $31 million. The film also broke the record for the best per screen average opening average with $110,000, a record previously held by The Dark Knight with $100,200. It has grossed a total of $136.3 million there. In the UK, it surpassed Avatar to become the country's highest grossing IMAX release ever with 10.0. Wow. So actually it did pretty good though, man, overall. It did pretty good. It won. It got nominated and along with some awards, Academy Awards, Alliance of Women Film Journalists, Art Directors Guild Awards, Critics Choice Movie Awards, Empire Awards, Golden Globe Awards, Hollywood Music and Media Awards, Houston Film Critics Society Awards, Academy Film Prize, Makeup Artist and Hair Stylist Guild Awards, Satellite Awards, Saturn Awards, St. Louis Film Critics Association Awards, and Teen Choice Awards. Okay, so the crew got nominations of each award and and won some. The last movie is No Time to Die, which is Daniel Craig's last movie as 007. It's a 2021 spy film and the 25th in the James Bond series, produced by Eon Productions, starring Daniel Craig, and his fifth and final portrayal of the fictional British MI6 agent. James Bond. The plot follows Bond, who has left active service with MI6 and is recruited by the CIA to find a kidnapped scientist, which leads to a showdown with a powerful and vengeful adversary armed with a technology capable of killing millions. Yeah, so not only Daniel Craig, Rami Malek, Leah Sado, Lashana Lynch, Naomi Harris, Jeffrey Wright, Christoph Waltz, and Ralph Fiennes, or Fiennes, however you pronounce it. So the movie is between 250 to $301 million of its budget. All right, I'm really trying to hurry up with this, man. So I'm really trying to hurry up with this shit, though, man. Let me just skip on over to the box office results. No Time to Die grossed $160.9 million in the United States and Canada, and $613.3 million in other territories, for a worldwide total of 774.2 million dollars. It was the fourth highest grossing film of 2021 because of the combined production of promotional costs of at least $350 million. It was estimated that the film would have needed to gross at least $800 million worldwide in order to break even. Ooh, so let's see. Yes, and yes, it did become the last highest grossing movie film of 2021. Um, it did in 54 countries, including the UK, Brazil, Germany, Italy, Japan, Mexico, and Spain. Despite the COVID-19 slamdemic, which crossed $100 million in overseas debut without the China market. Um, yeah. So here we go. All right. The Hollywood Reporter stated the premiere was the biggest in the United Kingdom since the slamdemic began. In the United States and Canada, No Time to Die was projected to gross 65 to $85 million in its opening weekend. The film made $23.3 million on its opening day, including $6.3 million from Thursday night previews, the best total of the franchise. It went on to debut to $55.2 million, topping the box office and marking the fourth best opening weekend of the franchise. No Time to Die earned an additional $6.9 million on Columbus Day, bringing its 4-day total in the United States. And Hollywood attributed the slight underperformance of the film's 163-minute runtime, limiting the number of showtimes. All right, let's see. So pretty much overall, as a result, it it is the last James Bond movie that did so well. You know what I'm saying? So the accolades at the 94th Academy Awards, No Time to Die received nominations for Best Sound and Best Visual Effects and won Best Original Song, becoming the third film to do so after Skyfall and Spectre. The film's other nominations include 5 British Academy Film Awards, winning one, 2 Critics' Choice Awards, which it won too. So it did so well at the box office. So that's not bad. That's not bad, man. And look, I'm not gonna have time to get to the I'm not gonna to get to I'm not gonna have time to get to video gaming news because I have to rush downstairs for dinner. So the last thing that I want to do is stream choices on the go, which is the last segment of the day. So let's get into it right here. Let's get into it right here, right now, man. Yeah, sorry about that. I pressed the wrong button. But yeah, let's do that again. Okay, I made a Facebook page for Meticulous Vibe Juice podcast for you folks out there at home that's listening. You can follow it on Facebook alongside with following Meticulous Vibe Juice podcast on Threads. You can also follow my other podcast shows that I do, which is Excellent Fun Vibrant Talks podcast. You can also follow that Facebook page as well. I created that one as well. You can also follow that as well. I will be making some postings and stuff on there, and all that other great stuff right there. So you can also hang on one second, man. I forgot to change this. Man. I forgot, man. Yeah. Yeah, I forgot to switch glasses here. Yes, like I was saying before, man, you can follow the podcast not only on Facebook, but you can also follow on Threads, which is Meticulous Vibe Juice Podcast, alongside with my other two podcast shows that I do. I also made a Facebook page for Excellent Fun Vibrant Talks Podcast, my sports platform. You can also follow that as well. And also you can follow my comedy off the Meat Rat Change New York Avenue podcast alongside with Instagram as well. And you can also follow me, your host with the most G Money Stacks 555 in Queens, New York. If you go to the link in bio, you're gonna see a whole list of streaming platforms with links to every streaming platform and 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 every streaming platform that you could think of. Let me just add something real quick. Let me just add something real quick actually. Let me just add something real quick. I forgot all about this. Um Let me just get rid of this. All right. So you can also follow the podcast on every streaming platform, wherever choice you listen to. You can download these apps onto your phones, iPhones, Android phones, iPads, Android tablets, laptops includes Apple and Dell laptop models. All right. Of course, if you go to Linktree/Meticulous Vibe Juice Podcast, you're gonna see Audible, Odyssey, Amazon Music, Breaker, Castbox FM, Deezer, Listen Notes, Moon FM Podcast, Overall FM Podcast, Player FM, Pocket Cast, Podfriend, Pod Hound, Podopolo, Podorama, Podcast Index, Podcast Addict, Podchaser, Podverse, Podcast Guru, Podvine, Snip, Spotify for creators, TuneIn Radio, Fountain, Radio Public, iHeartRadio, the number one app where you can listen to music artists, um, radio stations, and podcast shows episodes for free. You don't need a credit card or debit card to download iHeartRadio. All you need to do is just subscribe to iHeartRadio and other streaming platforms that I just mentioned. And of course, do the same with YouTube. Make sure you subscribe to the Meticulous Vibe Juice Podcast YouTube channel page so you don't miss out on any more. So you don't miss out on any more of the video episode podcast live stream recordings. Leave a like and a comment along with the episode review topics, and also be sure to also share the video, tell a friend to another friend, spread the word. Word of mouth is important. You can add the podcast to your playlist, whether you are on the go, whether you're going to and from your destinations to the comfort of your home, and be sure to enable alerts so you don't miss out on any particular new episodes that are going to be on streaming platforms. You can also share the podcast with your husbands, your wives, your boyfriends, girlfriends, people you're cool with from work and other places. Um, Whenever you get to listen, stream, and watch new episodes of your favorite podcast. All right. That's gonna do it for me, man. I'm your man, G Money Stacks, aka the Gregonator. Thank you very much for listening to the 133rd episode of the review show Meticulous Values podcast. Remember, the grind doesn't stop, hard work pays off. If you want something, you have to work hard and earn it because it's not going to be given to you on a fucking silver platter. Um, and also find something that you love to do creatively, mentally, physically, and spiritually. Hold on one second. I'm sorry about the damn plane. Yes. Um, it's important to be on your P's and Q's, doing what you love creatively, mentally, emotionally, physically, and spiritually that gets you into your zone alongside with tunnel vision. There's no manual into following your heart and dreams and your journey. And it doesn't matter whether you win or lose, it's how you play the game. Also, also, don't worry about anybody telling you what you can and can't do, and don't call it a podcast whatsoever, though, man. That's a bunch of jerks who want to actually discourage you from not doing what you love to do. You know what I'm saying? Um, and 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 look, man, um, stay safe, stay safe out there, especially if you plan on going out to watch the New Year and the ball drop in Times Square. Stay safe, stay liquid, stay alert as far as like crazy people randomly attacking people and all that other stuff. Hopefully there's enough security and enough cops and stuff. Um and yeah, man, stay liquid, stay safe. I'll see y'all next time in the next episode in a few minutes. All right. Peace and one love. And enjoy the rest of your day and of course enjoy your New Year's. See you later. Good night.